Hi everyone. Just finished painting these four figures as well. I was painting them alongside the 18mm Eureka figures for the Crimean War, and as it happens I've sort of completed both projects or both tasks at the same, more or less the same time. They are for use in the game of Saga, but I could use them as command bases in other games and sets of rules as well. In ascending order of how much I like them, first of all we have Harold Hardrada. Now this is a very, well, not very old, but it's an old figure from Gripping Beast. I purchased it a long time ago when I first got into Saga, and it can be used as the character Harold Hardrada for use with the Viking faction. As you may have seen from another video I put up recently, there's another figure which is a younger version of Harold Hardrada that you can use with the Byzantine faction. I'm not particularly keen on this figure, which is why it's taken me a long time to get around to painting him. I just think he's a little bit kind of lumpen, really. I had to laugh as well recently because I used some of these floral tufts from Debris of War on his base, and as I was waiting for the glue to dry I was watching Darklinger Eldridge video talking about how to base figures, and it's a real masterclass in what to do, but he was a little bit disparaging about the overuse of floral tufts on bases. He said it made them look like seaside roundabouts, which I fully understand, but never mind, I'd done it by then, and I thought it might make an interesting topic for a video. How to make floral tufts on bases look natural, rather than sort of artificial and making them look like they've been planted in a garden or something like that. So I've been going through a lot of my old videos of Dartmoor and various other places, trying to find footage of wildflowers, and I haven't quite really got enough to illustrate the points I want to make. So I've got that as a sort of a working project. I'm gonna try and film. When I notice flowers in the wild, I'm going to try and film them and then show how you can reasonably put them on bases and keep a little bit of realism. But anyway, that's another subject for another video. Yeah, so I'm not delighted with the way I painted this. I had the usual issues with transfers. I decided to use a Little Big Man Studio transfer on him, but I just have such difficulty with transfers. Don't know what it is, but as you can probably see quite clearly, it's kind of offset. I don't know. I think I'm going to give up using transfers and just paint more less elaborate designs on my shields in future. Anyway, so here's my least favourite of the group. Next up after that, we have a Basilius. What I might do is move these sort of out of the way so you can see, you get a better impression of the figure. There we go. Yeah, again, another kind of overuse of red flowers this time on the base, but I thought they might be able to represent poppies or something like that, which do get grow in sort of multitudes in fields during a particular time of the year. The Basilius is still a character in Saga, only he's not one specific emperor of the Byzantines. He's a sort of generic Basilius, so he does have special rules, but he's not a named Basilius. You can use him for quite a few centuries. And I discovered that as well, that when you use the Basilius in the Byzantine faction, you can only field Hearthguard in the warband, and as many of them as you like can be upgraded to Varangian Guard. So there you go, that's the solution to my problem of having quite a lot of Varangian figures. I can use them commanded by this chap. Yeah, not much of the horse flesh showing, but I was quite pleased with the dappled effect I got on the horse, on his sort of rear, and I tried to sort of tarp the clothing up a little bit, give it a little bit of kind of embroidery and metallic kind of sheens and things like that, and it didn't turn out too badly. I'd be quite happy to field him in my army. Next up we have Brian Boru, who is a hero of the Viking Age for the Irish faction. He's got some slightly unusual rules attached to him, in that he sort of sits the battle out really. He's portrayed as an old man, and you have to nominate, or you don't have to, but I think you're allowed to nominate one of the Kurd that you might have in your faction, and at the moment I have no Kurd painted up, so it's given myself another task. So you can nominate one of the Kurd that you might field as the Warlord. So it'd be quite an interesting character to play. The figure's obviously sculpted sitting down, so I decided to sort of put him. I made some boulders out of milliput and decided to make it look as though he was sort of on a slight elevation. That the way he's been painted on the Gripping Beast website is sitting underneath a tree, and I was going to do that originally, but then I thought it would make the model quite tall. I would have to find a tree that was suitably impressive, not just your sort of bog standard wargaming bit of foliage. I would have to find quite a nice tree, so it would be a shame to waste a tree just attached to a base like that, and it would have been slightly expensive and it would have been difficult to store. So I went for this sort of the more simple approach of putting him on some rocks and having him sort of perched at an advantage, and then I just put some sort of brownish tufts around that I kind of use some shader and stuff like that on as well to make it look like a bit like Juncus grass or something like that on the moor. And he turned out quite well, I thought. So, and then my favourite of them all is not a Gripping Beast figure, but available through Gripping Beast. It's Shield Wall miniatures that you can purchase through Gripping Beast. This is Ivor the Boneless. So they've gone for the interpretation that Ivor the Boneless was incapable of walking, which is the interpretation they've adopted on the Viking series on TV. He's not actually a named character in Saga, so I would just have to use him as a generic warlord. But I really like this figure. Again, there's a few floral tufts on, but I used sort of violet kind of coloured tufts, which I think look quite like heather. So I don't think these are over the top really. Yeah, and basically he's sat there on his shield, supported by two of his bodyguard, and the guy at the back has got additional supplies of arrows, as you can see. So presumably Ivor the Boneless is picking off his opponents with his bow and being supplied with ammunition from one of his retainers there. But I really like that little group. Really happy with that. Even though I won't be able to use him as a specific character in Saga, I think he'll make a nice little command stand. So there we are. That's all of them. Put them all back in shot and give you one more view of the whole lot. Thanks very much for watching. Bye for now.